about what's really happening with your government? Then tune in to Focus on Government and Development every other Monday at 7 p.m. Your source for updates on government initiatives and the current affairs shaping our nation. From major infrastructure development to pressing national issues, Focus on Government and Development will bring you up close with the decision makers. Exclusive interviews and in-depth discussions about what matters to you most. We'll go behind the headlines and bring you the real deal. Focus on Government and Development every other Monday, 7 p.m. on this radio station. You tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. Happy Monday evening to all of you tuned in. We're broadcasting live from the studios of DBS Radio on Victoria Street, Roseau. We're also live on Cairo FM on various social media platforms. At 8 o'clock, you can listen to this program on Q95 FM radio. Focus on Government and Development is our regular program designed to keep you up to date on matters related to the government of Dominica, the various ministries, the works, the policies, the programs, the developments ongoing that impact your lives in communities across the island. My name is Dion Duran-Smith. I am the Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. We'll be with you every other Monday, right here on DBS Radio, Cairo FM, and Q95 FM Radio. Welcome to all of you tuned in. This evening, our spotlight is on the agriculture sector. We have with us in studios three distinguished gentlemen: the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Ryan Ansam, the Director of Agriculture, Mr. Kian Stevenson, and the Chief Fisheries Officer, Mr. Derek Theophil. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the program. P.S. Ansam.
Good evening, Duran, and let me say special good evening to the Honorable Minister Royer and Minister Defoe and Parliamentary Secretary Lakia Joseph. A special good evening to all the fisher folks and farmers of the land and the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, Mr. Stevenson, welcome.
And good evening to everyone. Good evening to the listening public, both at home and abroad. And good evening especially to the farming community and everyone listening. Thank you very much.
And the Chief Fisheries Officer is with us, Mr. Theophil. Mr. Theophil, welcome to the program. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here this evening. And I want to say a very good evening to all the fisher folk and all the staff of the Fisheries Division out there. and the rest of Dominicans at large who are interested in learning more about the Ministry of Agriculture, the Division of Agriculture, and the Fisheries Division.
All right, fantastic. We're really going to get right into the discussion because I like to say, and PS knows I say that all the time, there's always something going on in agriculture, and I know we have a lot to talk about tonight. So I'm going to start with PS and Sam, and let's just dive right into the discussion and talk about the government's current policies in the sector, agriculture, fisheries, and how we are making movements in terms of national development and food security.
Well, I'm always excited to talk about agriculture. The reason is that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. It provides food and nutrition security, not only for Dominica. Globally, agriculture is seen as one of the most important sectors. But to answer your question, it is clear that the government has a mandate to feed its people, and we take food security very seriously. And that is why the Honorable Prime Minister, 2 years ago, he articulated a clear policy for the agricultural sector. We recognize for Dominica to move forward, we need agriculture to contribute more to the gross domestic product. And it's a policy that we are true to. And the policy speaks about agriculture to contribute 700 million to the gross domestic product by 2030. And beyond, that is very significant. And one have to say why, because this is centered around three main policy areas. We speak of increasing our production base, that is increasing production of our agricultural produce, livestock, horticulture, and fisheries. And basically what that does is for us to increase our production of agricultural commodities. And that will decrease the reliance of imports. It will give us a consistent supply of fresh agricultural produce. So that is the number one policy pillar, you can say the first policy area. The second one is how do we really expand or enhance the nature brand concept. And by doing that, what we're saying that we want to increase exports locally, and when I mean locally, the region and internationally, and for us to have earnings, foreign exchange and earnings. And you know we do have a trade system where our hucksters and Dexia export our agricultural produce. And that is important not only for Dominica, because you have to understand we feed the northern islands, the Antiguas, the Totolas, and that is important. We help them to meet their food security. And the third area is really looking at value addition, the agro-processing. And I just want to go away from the policy. My whole perspective of it is that we have to add value to primary production. And we cannot rely on primary production to move the sector. And so secondary production, as we know it, technically, but for the farmers, we have to go into agro-processing. And so our dashing, our yams, our fruits, we have to go into the juices, we have to go into the flowers. And so these are the three main policy areas that have set the foundation for us. And to just summarize it to the general public, the government wants to guarantee food and nutrition security for its people. And by that, we have to ensure that the farmers produce, and they produce safe food and quality, so we all can eat healthy foods. So that is just to summarize the government overall policy.
Yes, you did mention the Prime Minister's goal of 700 million to GDP by 2030. Are you confident that you're well on your way to meeting that target?
Well, I'm super confident, and my two chiefs can tell you that we discussed it, and we are super confident. One, we believe that agriculture true contribution is not being captured. And Theophile, who is the Chief Fisheries Officer, he's a data analyst, he's a data expert, and we are putting measures in place to capture the data more accurately. And time you'll hear that we are not capturing the agro-processing data. It falls under manufacturing. And so it's important that we capture the agro-processing data that will increase our. I believe that we are, that's my personal opinion here, but you need to back things scientifically, that we are doing more than the 330 contribution to GDP that is currently being recorded. Because you're talking about the hucksters that are going, they are putting more weight in the boxes. We are not recording that as accurately as possible. And so I'm confident with the investment that the government is making that we will meet and even surpass the $700 million. People may say, but P.S. Anselm, why are you saying that? Because you're talking about the investment that you are making that's going to reduce some of the high cost of production. And I want to go away from the investment in agriculture and speak about the other investment. When you talk about an international airport, what does it bring, Mrs. Smith? And I call you Mrs. Smith. I'm serious now. Yes. Yes.
All right,
so what does it bring?
Well, increased visitors.
Exactly. It brings more mouth to feed. More farmers have to produce more. You can export more. And I always make that little case study with the international airport. You know, a tuna, you can catch a tuna in 7 hours. It can be in Miami. What does that say? Is high price, premium fish, and that is what we have to look at the investment, not only in agriculture, the hotels that are being built, more mouth to feed, the marina. So these are what we're talking about. When people talk about Mr. Anselm Boy, you're talking about 700, because I'm confident not only in the investment that we're doing in agriculture, but when you talk about the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, that investment is going. People have to eat, and so that is why we are confident that we will surpass the. And we had a strategic paper that suggests if we invest in the crop sector, for example, 73%, the crop sector can contribute 73% to the 700. I still believe chief fisheries can do more, livestock as well. So we are saying with the investment that we are making, we are confident that we think. But one thing, I will leave it for after, but we cannot do this if we don't really support the farmers and eat what we grow and grow what we eat. But I want to close with that one, so I'll leave it.
Yes. You said so many things that we could follow up on, including the point about agro-processing, which I hope to come back to. But I want to bring in the Director of Agriculture, Mr. Stevenson, because you speak about increasing production. And I want to ask him how the ministry is going about supporting farmers in doing exactly that, increasing production. How are we ensuring that we're meeting our targets, Mr. Stevenson?
Well, I think the PS touched on it a bit, but in terms of the government investment, especially in the budget just passed, you see the government investing over $32 million into agriculture, and that goes into some of the specific programs that the PS touched on recently. The 5 C's, when we talk about investing in our coconuts, our coffee, our citrus, which one did I?
Well, the cannabis.
The cannabis, I was living it for the last 5. You know, but in investing in these areas, pineapples, passion fruits, papaya, high-end vegetables to reduce our import and also certain exports. So we, in our livestock, in terms of poultry and pork, specifically for the abattoir, and also in our ruminant sector as we invest in our central livestock farm and other areas.
What are ruminants? Not everybody knows what that is.
Goats and sheep.
Okay.
Goat and sheep, as you know, and we, to a lesser extent, but not forgetting the cattle, which would be the larger ruminant. Yes. So so we, and also in our AP or honey production. These are some areas that the government are putting through our policies, as the PS mentioned, are putting strategic investments in. And along with these agricultural investments, we also invest in specifically in our youth, because we realize that we have to grow the industry, we have to sustain the industry. So we have programs specifically that we can get more into as the program evolves, but be specific for our youth, youth programs, farmer organizations, and also in areas, as the PS mentioned, in agro-tourism, value added, and so. So there are specific areas that the government is, through the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, are investing. We're also collaborating with key other ministries, Ministry of Trade through Dexia, very important, our financial players as well, like the Aid Bank, the credit unions, the NDFDs. So really looking at what we call a tripartite approach, where we can really, and not forgetting, well, I did mention Dexia in terms of the market areas. So that tripartite, finance, production, and market. You must have the finance. If you're talking about that 700 million by 2030, you must have some investment. You must have the production to go with it. And once we produce, you have to have those markets that you can get those returns. So as the PS mentioned, we have those things well articulated within our policies, within our work programs, and within our implementation plans, with the backing from the government with these investments through the budget, and also not forgetting our friendly organizations like the international organizations like FAO, WUSC, CADI, and different ICA, and different players all working together to bring about that real change that we're looking for.
You mentioned the focus on youth, and I assume that also extends to women, and just people in general, encouraging them to get into the sector and get passionate about agriculture. How are you going about that? How are you encouraging people to keep planting, to keep growing, to keep being involved?
Okay, well, presently we have certain programs. I guess you heard about the 300 acres for the youth that we set aside for the youth. So that is one. You talk about the rebate programs that we have for farmers investing in those key areas that we talk about. We talk about the abattoir that we have coming around, where we have targeting certain farmers with certain programs. We talk about the rebate programs. We can go more into them as we go into the programs, and if we want to go into the details of those programs. And we also strengthening organizations, as I say, like NIA, National Association with Youth in Agriculture. So we strengthen organizations like that to ensure that they're empowered and they can, some of the challenges that they face, that we can address them through key interventions.
You are also, as Director of Agriculture, responsible for the supervision of your extension officers. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah. Talk to us about your extension services and your effectiveness in reaching the farmer.
Okay. Well, we have realized that the farming community is growing, and we have growing challenges. We have climate change. We have different markets, different technologies. Recently, we have been investing in even the extension officers. We've been training extension officers through UE programs so that they can be empowered, because part of it is empowering the extension officers so that they can feel confident to interact with the farmer. Because the farmer is out there getting a wealth of knowledge right now via the internet, via the YouTube. And if the extension officer is not capable to have that kind of interaction with the farmer, the extension officer themselves may shun away from that farmer interaction. You want to empower your extension officer that they can feel confident to go out there, interact with the farmer, give them proper technical advice, and really direct them to the opportunities that are really available right now. So we have trained some of our officers, continue training some of the new officers within the UE programs. We have equipped them with new technologies like the tablets and so that they can go out and take real-time information, because some of the challenges that we face is data as we to make informed decisions in policy making and implementation. So we have empowered and even for markets, in terms of productions and so we have empowered the officers with tablets to go out there whilst interacting with the farmers, giving them the technical information. They can also collect that establishment data and other information needed in a real-time basis. We have also empowered them with technologies like the drones firsthand. So we have drone, and just completed, we had some trainings in 2012 and now again in just this year, advanced trainings that the officers can go out, do some mappings of the farmlands, do some baseline surveys. In terms of disaster preparedness, we know we are prone to disasters. We can take some data, have them ready, take production data, and just have that interactions with the farmers that they can feel confident that they're going out there and they're well being represented well.
Yeah,
Yes.
excellent. Mr. Fairfield, the PS told us we're focused on food production, horticulture, livestock, and of course fisheries. Talk to us about how the fisheries sector is being integrated into the broader food security strategy of the Ministry of Agriculture and by extension the government of Dominica.
Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, as we know, in Dominica, the fisheries sector is small-scale artisanal at this point. So basically people catch things and then they fish, I should say, and then they sell it. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. But I learned that some time back, FAO did a fish consumption study, and they found out that about the average Dominican person eats about 40 pounds of fish a year or something like that. That's quite a lot.
Yes,
That's
it
quite
is.
a lot, right?
Interesting.
And that is something that we don't get, I guess we don't talk about so much. At the same time, we still are a net importer of fish products. So that's the other part of the coin. But definitely fish is a significant part of our diet here in Dominica. As we know, most of our communities are on the coast, the majority of the population on the coast. And fish is in your face, one way or the other. And of course, because of that, we have to have programs to enable accessibility of fish to the public and to ensure that we meet those food security targets. Of course, that's one of our mandates as the Fisheries Division, where we create the enabling environment for employment, enhancing food security and reduce poverty and so forth. So we work towards enhancing the facilities at the landing sites, right? That is one of the major initiatives that was done underneath the Dominica Emergency Agricultural Livelihood and Climate Resilience Project, which is just wrapping up. Where we did some renovations to a few key landing sites around the island, and then we recently commenced work on a few more, about 5 additional landing sites around the island.
You can name them.
I believe Stowe, Scott said, Sunsway, Newtown, and Fokoli. If you pass through Newtown, I just passed through there a few moments ago, I see they started digging up some of the areas to do the construction work and so on. So you can see some of these things happening along the way, and it's different interventions. Some of it is reference to resilience for situations where you have heavy seas. You need to extract your sufficient asset, your boat, out of the water quickly, so you'll develop slipways. In other cases, you develop like fish vending areas in the case of Newtown to establish that and build it up, enhance it, so that you have a better area available for people to come and buy fish from the fisher folk when they go out there and return. So all of this is part of the intervention that's going on. Of course, we know that recently the government delivered up to 43 boats so far to fisher folk who lost their boats since Hurricane Maria. That was also another major intervention that was done. And we have 22 more boats to give away to fishermen who were beneficiaries for that project. So all of this is going back towards building up the resourcefulness, the ability of the fisherman to go fish. Because a fisherman without a boat really cannot do very much in terms of feeding himself and his family. But if you have a boat and you have an engine, then you can go out there and you can catch fish for yourself, your family, and the community. And hopefully, further to that PS, we can have DEXA involved to help us with regards to the exporting, and further to that, though, the value addition.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we're trying to look at.
What Ms. Smith, what is important to note, the value of the investment. And I just want to point this out, because many times the public is saying a Ministry of Agriculture or the government is not investing in fisheries or in agriculture. When you speak of giving a fisherman a boat valued at $34,000, that is the average price. But some of the boats cost $75,000. That is significant. And not only that, we also, directly after Hurricane Maria, we delivered 102 machines, outboard engines. And what that does, it basically empower the fisher folks to go back. And what is resilience is building back quickly. And so that is the investment that the government has done. Not only that, we have improved some of the land inside, as the chief said. If you recall, we recently hand over Bioche and Dubla fishing facility, improving the locker rooms, improving the lives of the people, and not only giving them physical asset. And I mean the chief fisheries was moderate there, but you have to understand that the investment that the government is making in the fishing, for example, Stowe, we're improving the entire landing site of Stowe. Give the fisher folks an area where there's a storm to pull their boat. We're improving the whole aspect of safety. And one of the areas that I want to pin on is that it's not only the physical investment. The fisheries division has trained the fisher folks in safety at sea, and that's important, security and food safety. And then we have invested in ice machines, ice boxes, and I believe, Chief, we have given them the GPS and the tool that for them to navigate. And so it's important to note that investment. For example, in Saint-Sauveur, we are going to fix the locker rooms, and we're going to fix the slipway that they have there, and that is a major fishing area.
Yeah.
In Scott Z, we are going to do the slipway as well, and so this kind of investment, very important to note, is changing the livelihood of fishermen, and not only fishermen, the vendors. Because we hear story of the gentleman even on GIS, or yesterday I heard it, that he fishes, he gives to his wife. I don't think he should be selling the fish to his wife, but that's another story. But he sells the fish to his wife, and she takes it and she sells it at a different price. So it's important for us to note the chain, the supply chain.
Yeah. And Piers, I appreciate you making the linkage between these interventions and the actual positive impact on livelihoods, because I really wanted to focus on that, because we do see these presentation ceremonies, pretty boats on the seashore, landing sites, etc. But I don't think we really make the connection between the investment and how that impacts directly on livelihoods in our fishing and farming communities.
Right, that is very important to note, and the empowerment of people livelihood, and that is what the story is.
Yes.
Empowering. Remember, you lost your boat, you lost your engine, and that is given at zero cost, free. So you have to understand that level of investment that is being made in the life of people. In the Scott Z, in the fishing area. Yeah. And one of the investment that I'm particularly happy about is the what we are going to do in Fokole. I think that is the favorite place. Even the director, he goes on that, and that is where people buy their fish. I would prefer that they come to the Roseau Market to buy their fish, but in reality, people really stop, and we're going to enhance the facility and to enhance the food safety area, and we're going to we've started already. We've started already, and I can't remember the timeline, but it's basically we have to complete that before May of next year, and you will see in few months an improved facility at the Fokole, where you can come in and purchase your fish, and the fish will be on ice. It will have a different standard, and so that is what we are doing in agriculture.
All right, I want to stick
you wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
I just wanted to add something, a bit of science to some of these interventions, because even the boats that the government is handing over to the fishermen as recovery to the assets that they lost, these are fiber reinforced plastic vessels.
Right.
Now, I did a study when I was doing my master's thesis, because I was looking at a long-term time series data for fisheries data from 1994 all the way up till 2022, to look at what sort of changes happened over that time and what does it mean for enhancements to the sector going forward. And one of the things I looked at was the likelihood of catching fish with a certain boat type. So we have three types of boats in Dominica. We have canoes, the boafoe, you have the keel, and then you have the fiber reinforced plastic, the fiberglass boats, the newer type of boats you see most fishermen have. Now, these boats have a known linkage between, there's a correlation between higher catch and fiberglass boats. So essentially, if you have a fiberglass boat, it correlates to you being able to catch more fish, right? And that's one of the things that this intervention builds on that sort of information, that sort of awareness, right? And that's where the data comes into play, and where the interventions speak from the data. So I just wanted to point that out as a key point.
Yeah. But we need also to complement, and in our local term, big up the five boat builders. I mean, tremendous assets that they have given us, and we really we appreciate their skills and the work that they have done. It's excellent work, and sometimes we think things have to come out from outside, but we have 5 international boat builders in Dominica, and we're very proud that they deliver on the assets for the fisher folks. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, it's important. I want to stick with Mr. Theophile for a bit, and if you could just bring up your mic closer to your yes. You spoke about local fish production and local fish consumption, so I'm interested in what movements are afoot to start marketing the fish regionally and even internationally. Are you looking at that area?
All right, so this is no longer directly done by the Fisheries Division, but we do collaborate with Dexia on that matter, given that they're the marketing arm of the government, essentially. They provide that level of service. So the Dominica Export-Import Agency has taken control of certain aspects of the Roseau fish market, where they procure fish from fishermen or local fishermen from Roseau and abroad. And we facilitate that process by ensuring that the fishermen that they do have these contracts with are registered, all right, and that also that they have food handlers permits, so they're in good standing in that regard. And then, of course, we collaborate with Dexia to work with our contacts that we have overseas, so Grenada, the US, and other places like that, so that they can continue essentially these conversations that started sometime back underneath the Fisheries Division when we were doing that level of work as well. So we do that level of thing, and then, of course, we do continuous capacity building and training. So we've had trainings all last year, and we plan to have some more this financial year in regards to fish food quality handling and preservation. Of course, we have the ongoing work of ensuring that the facilities have ice, and ice is available for the fisher folk at a price that they can afford, and to ensure that also they carry ice with them to sea. Not just making sure that they have ice, but they actually ensure that they carry ice with them to sea. With regards to the facility itself, we've been looking at trying to get the facility certified. So we were talking with the Dominica Bureau of Standards, who is also a partner on this endeavor, to look at good manufacturing practices certification. But we also began talking further to even more enhanced certifications such as HACCP, which is the Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points certification, which is a necessary thing for exporting fish to certain key markets, right, that we want to target. So, and all of that comes back again to improving the production, because even if you have good quality fish, if you don't have the consistent production, you still will have challenges. So we cannot with all of this in tandem. Thankfully, we have Dexia there to pull some of the strings on the other parts, and we can work with the fishermen in improving their production and making sure that they do the right things from the time they catch the fish, right? Kill it quickly, put it on ice quickly, bring it to shore without breaking the cold chain, transfer that to Dexia, right? And then they themselves put it back on ice so that the fish doesn't degrade. As you know, fish is very perishable.
Yeah.
So the longer it stays out there taking sun and water and all sort of things, it degrades. And we don't want our quality of fish to be seen as less than. Our quality of fish in Dominica, I think, is pretty good. I mean, many times when our Japanese colleagues come here, personally tell me, you know, sashimi. I mean, last week I had the pleasure of giving the new ambassador for Japan for the region, a tour of the Rosa Fisheries Complex, and a fisherman just brought in some tuna, fresh tuna, and he was like, "Oh, can we have sashimi right there?" You know, if you know, sashimi is basically the raw fish, you know, raw tuna, and we were talking about it, but the quality of the fish is that good that you can actually eat it right there raw. You know, with just maybe some wasabi and some soy sauce, but yeah.
You're tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. This evening we are focused on agriculture. Our guests, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Ryan Anselm, Director of Agriculture, Mr. Kian Stevenson, and the Chief Fisheries Officer, Mr. Derek Theophile. At about 10 minutes to the hour, you are invited to call, pose your questions, 1-800-327-4483-281 or 4483-279. You'll get on live with our panelists this evening. So, Mr. Anselm, P.S. Anselm, earlier on we spoke about the 5 C's, and I want to leave cannabis separate for a bit. But I want you to take us through the updates on here. Did you ask why? I don't know.
It's special.
Cannabis is an interesting topic.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll leave it separate. So the 5 C's. Let's start with the 4 C's: coconuts, coffee, cocoa, and citrus. Take us through this. Where are we with production in these areas?
Yes. The 5 C's, this is one of the Sustainable Crop Development Program flagship project. I say project, but it's basically programs. So if we take coconut, for example, you would recall that we imported 13,000 Brazilian dwarf nuts. And we must compliment the propagation staff, Franklin and Ivan. We had 84% germination. And that is significant because in other jurisdictions like Jamaica, with all the experts and the doctors, they get up to 54, 56, and we're getting 84. So we established 200 acres of coconuts, dwarf coconuts. But we did not stop here. It's our intention in this financial year to bring an additional 13,000 nuts. What we have done also is that we have propagated some of this as germplasm. And what it will do, it will provide nuts for us to start our own nursery, and so we can distribute to the farmers in the next 3 to 4 years. But what I need to tell the general public is that the plants were distributed earlier this year. It will take you 3 or 4 years for production, and so people tend to forget that. So it's not a vegetable that will give you 6 years. So we're talking about tree crop with optimum conditions and nutrition and soils. It will 3 to 4 years production. And so the investment that we are making in our tree crop sector, we'll see it in 5 years' time, sometimes even 7. And so that is important to mention. So we've done some work on coconuts. We do have some pests and disease issue to deal with, which the plant quarantine is dealing with. We have a palm complex problem in coconuts, the mites, the white flies, and so we will deal with this as we go along. So if we go into cocoa, now cocoa is 2-part program that we have. We have establishment, and the director will speak to it in more in depth. We have the establishment of cocoa. Last year we did 17,000 cocoa plants. We distribute that, and this year we're planning to do 25,000. We're increasing the production of it, and it's not only the establishment, we're also rehabilitating our cocoa fields, like pruning, and we also we are doing that together with the Cuban Technical Mission. We brought in 3 technical experts from Cuba, one to deal with cocoa, citrus, and some of our tree crops, and a horticulture expert, and an engineer to deal with our machinery, our tractors, and so we've done that. When we speak of the citrus, when I speak of citrus, I always get excited. Part of the investment, and I need to give the minister all the praise on that one. We had the citrus certification in Botanical Gardens. Maria came, it destroyed the entire system. And through the hard efforts of the Minister Roy, that is, we transferred that citrus certification facility into 1 Mile Portsmouth. And presently we have 50,000 rootstock, and the current status of it, we have grafted approximately 25,000 of this rootstock. So you can say farmers have approximately 25,000 plants, citrus plants. Will not be distributed at the same time. It will be period. And Dion, I call you Dion, sometimes I call you Mrs. Smith.
It's fine.
It's
I'm
okay.
easy. It's
So what we are saying is the important message I want to send the citrus timeline and time frame is 18 months.
okay.
So you have to sow the seeds, you have the rootstock, and you have to bud it. So you will not get a citrus plant at the propagation facility in an 18-month cycle. And my good friend Ferreira, Ivan Ferreira, will tell me he wants to do it in 8 months, and so we will really reduce on that cycle. But importantly to note as well, we are now constructing
Yes.
a brand new citrus certification facility at the Central Livestock Farm.
Yeah. Tell us
Brand
about
new.
that, yes.
So it will have all the facility. It will have a lab. It will have the potting sheds. It will have the germplasm. It will have all what we had in Botanical Gardens, all the facility. And the capacity of that is to produce 50,000 citrus plants annually. Director, I mean, if you do the math, 50,000 plants, the acreage that can give you. Thing. And the whole idea is we believe that we have the competitive advantage in the whole CARICOM. I mean, Jamaica is battling with citrus greening. We do have it. But I believe apart from bellies, we have that competitive advantage to increase in citrus.
Yeah. Director, I just want you to come in here a bit. You know, the PS is mentioning all these high numbers, 20,000 plants, 25,000 plants. We often hear complaints in the community that farmers may not be accessing. Can you speak to access? How do our farmers access these plants, and how do you, on your end, ensure that the plants are reaching the farmers?
Okay. Thank you. That's a very important question, especially as we're coming up to the season. First thing, as the PS said, you have to understand the procedure. So yes, you have 25,000 plants being, or rootstock at the station being budded, but all will not be available at one time. It's a process, an 18-month cycle, and the facility is only, so presently, for example, we have about, out of that 25,000 stock, we have about a little over 5,000 presently available to farmers. But it's not a facility where anyone can just come and buy. It's a government facility for a special program. First of all, so some of the criteria you have to meet, right, to be certified for a citrus farmer. Just a recap. Back in the days, we knew citrus anywhere, everywhere, in our backyards, no matter where we are, by the seashores and whatnot. Presently, we have the citrus greening before Hurricane Maria that wiped out of a lot of our citrus. To prevent that, to explain it, is like the mosquito spreading dengue. So you may get dengue, but the mosquito must bite you to get dengue. For the citrus to get the citrus greening or tristigia, that psyllid must come and suck on the citrus. That silage doesn't only exist in low-lying areas. It doesn't exist in areas above 1,000 feet. Hence, now the criteria, farmers must be above 1,000 feet first to qualify. So that's not too much of a problem because most of our main citrus areas were in areas above 1,000 feet. Our syndicates, our Collier Heights, and some of those areas. So, first you must meet the criteria of being above 1,000 feet. You visit your extension officer, most important. So we have 7 agricultural regions. We have offices. You visit your extension officer. You express interest in wanting to have citrus. The extension officer visits you to find out whether the area is suitable. They advise you how to go about, once it's suitable, how to go about preparing your land. Your spacing, your land preparation in terms of holes and mounds. And once that is done, they have to ensure that it's done. And there is a reason for that. They give you a certificate, and then you go to the government certified facility to procure those plants at a subsidized price at only $10 a plant. Yes? The cost of producing one of those plants is above 25 US, so about $75 to produce one of those plants. We're selling it to farmers at a subsidized price of $10.
Yeah.
Right? Just to so this is the criteria. So you really have to liaise with your extension officer. The extension officer has to come out and certify your holding. You have to ensure that you have the place prepared, well lined, dug, holes prepared. So once you purchase those plants, you can establish them immediately. Because they are subsidized plants under a program, we would not want farmers procuring those plants, having them under a tree somewhere, never been planted out, and our investment going to waste. And the worst case scenario, we would not want farmers purchasing those plants, or persons in the pretense of being a farmer purchasing those plants and smuggling them out, exporting out the plants to other areas for sale and so. So we really have to protect ourselves. We really have to ensure that the investment made really goes where it's needed to the genuine farmers, that, as was being explained in fisheries, that you can see the return of those investments.
Yeah.
And as the PS rightfully mentioned, it takes you minimum 3 years to get production, 5 years to really be in an economic yields, right? So you have that 5-year period once you purchase those plants, establish those plants, to really get something. So if you don't really monitor the farmers, work with them, ensure they go to the right place, these investments can really end up being lost.
And you talk about working with the farmers. I know you have your extension services, but do you feel you can probably spend a little bit more time explaining these kinds of things, criteria and the like, to farmers on a more regular basis, probably through media like this, radio programs? Probably
Yes.
something we can consider.
We have radio programs. Yes, I will welcome that openly. And in times like this, we also have outreach meetings, farmer meetings in the communities. As I mentioned, we have 7 agricultural regions. Probably I could take a little moment now to name them.
Yeah.
So we have the central and the south agricultural regions that are housed in the Vanos House. So the south agricultural region are from farmers from the Roseau Bridge all the way to Scott's Head, taking in Grand Bay, Mont Prosper, Girondelle, and so. The central region is from the Roseau Bridge going north to Macushri Bridge, going central to Deboch Bridge, Bells area, and where we call Cheyenne, or the junction, Emerald Pool Junction, all is to include Cochrane, Bells, Carhome, Layu, these areas. Central, west, north of the Macushri Bridge, to include Salisbury, Grand Savan, all the way up to the Syndicate area, our North Farmers Syndicate to Portsmouth, Penville, Portsmouth area, and our Northeast farmers, we know our Benz, Calibishi, Woodfordale, Marigot, Concord, our East farmers, our Kalinago, Cassibruce, Good Hope, Saint-Sauveur, and our Southeast farmers, which will be the Grand Fort, Rosalie, La Plaine, Boetica, Delis farmers.
Okay.
So in each of those regions, we have offices stationed with officers. You have to get to know your officers within your district. You have to get to know your office and make a relationship,
Yes,
build a relationship with your extension officers and the farmers, yes, to really get out there.
Director, I'm still with you. You mentioned the East District, the East farmers, and I know we speak about the 4Cs and cannabis, but there are farmers in these areas who are still interested in the traditional crops, bananas, plantains, root crops, etc. What kind of support are we providing in these areas?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because we do have a root crop coordinator. We do have a banana and planting coordinator. And we do have a coordinator in the traditional crops, what we call the cassava and the toloma. So the government has made a great investment even after Maria, when a lot of those infrastructures were destroyed, in building them back better. So within the Kalinago territory, we build back to about 4 of the cassava bakeries and houses in the Calibishi area, in the Good Hope area. So you see things like Easy Side Bakery around in having their cassava bread. We see Cassava Man. By all these are interventions made by the Ministry of Agriculture, you know, that even the introduction of those new varieties of sweet cassava, that you can now have those new products on the market. Because when we had the beta cassava, because of the toxic nature of the beta cassava, all we could prepare was our traditional farin. You can only see the introduction of those cassava breads and the cassava pizza and the cassava wraps that you see Easy Side and Cassava Man making through the introduction of the sweet cassava, that you can even eat it like a staple food right now, like we eat yam on our dashing. All these were interventions with the help of CADI, our researchers, and so that we brought in new varieties of cassava, introduced them to the farming community, introduced them to the agro processors, built new products. We tried doing the flour. Some people still do the dry flour to add it to the bread, 40% mix. But then we even found that the mash, which is a step to making the flour, was even more acceptable and brought about the new products that you see about, which I just mentioned. So all these are interventions. As EPS mentioned, sometimes we do not make those linkages to show how our interventions through the ministry actually impact livelihoods and even impact right now cultures and traditions. Because right now we see an entirely new product in our market space that we never knew before growing up.
And quickly, I know time is of the essence, but Cassava Man is a success story. And when you talk about adding value and agro-processing, I don't like to say agro-processing, to tell you the honest truth. I like to say value addition, because the investment that we made, as the director said, the importation of the sweet varieties. Now you're saying Cassava Man is making a living out of cassava and going to all the byproducts, and we applaud him for this. And that is why we want more entrepreneurs to come on board and to add value. We talk about the fishing subsector. We want young people, entrepreneurs, to come and do the dry fish and do this kind of investment in agriculture, and we will help you, because as the director said, we do have a youth program. And in this year's policy measure, we speak about 300 acres for young people. And we're going to target the 5 C's. We're going to target avocado. I'm one that think we have a competitive advantage for avocados. And we speak about mangoes. So we need to be new varieties of mangoes or exotics So we need to go into the juices. And so it's not only primary production. So we believe that agriculture we cannot meet the 700 million if we don't go into agro-processing. So at the end of the day, we have to add value to fish.
Yeah.
We have to add value to the crops. We have to add value to all what we're doing to the primary production. And that is important to note.
Mr. Theophile, this is an opportunity for you to speak a little bit more about the way we can add value within the fishery sector and probably other areas we can branch off into, like the aquaculture and the like.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, definitely. Value addition is something that we've been working with at the fisheries division for a very long time in the fisheries sector. You can start off with basic things like basically slicing the fish. That's a start, right? Having the fish in available manner in which you can easily, as a working person, pick it up and just throw it in your pot and make a broth, as they call it. Then that starts right there. And I know people who actually prepare packages like that. They have a little sliced fish, some garlic, onion, and some other things in a package, vacuum pack that, and then they sell that, and people buy that, and people use that. Then you can go to more typical, what you call processed sort of things, drying, salting, smoking, and so on, of these products. So it's a very involved and very interesting process, and it's something that we definitely need to and want to explore a lot more further, especially given that we plan this year to operationalize finally our fisheries lab, where we can actually test a lot of these products and work towards developing these products further, instead of just having the primary product, the raw fish, as it were. So we're looking towards some level of product development as we get our lab operational. And as I mentioned, we're working together with Bureau Standards and other colleagues in regards to that as well. In terms of aquaculture and mariculture, these are not as mature as the capture fisheries sector, which is where we catch fish. So we have about 10, 11 aquaculture farmers around the island, primarily focused on raising or growing prawns, freshwater prawns, and then we have some people who also do some tilapia. We working with these groups, these people, in terms of making sure that their ponds are operational, making sure that they are stocked with prawns, making sure that the prawns themselves are healthy, and can grow at the rate that is desirable, so that they can get a marketable yield that can be successful and profitable for them and for the sector, and also for the markets that we have in Dominica and abroad. Mariculture is another major area of focus. Of course, we know sea moss is one of our favorite drinks in Dominica here. We're trying to get more into that and to support that sector very, very strongly with increased and intensified production here around the island. We're working with a few groups around the island in the northeast, and also along the west coast. And we had one group in Stowe who had some challenges from last year from burial, and we also helped them with regards to recovering some of their assets and resetting up their structures there. Of course, I would be remiss if I forgot to mention that we currently have some strong support from the Chinese mission here in Dominica, who are helping us with regards to enhancing these interventions further, with regards to a dedicated project for enhancing aquaculture and mariculture in Dominica. So we're right now working in the development and planning phase of that project. We're going to establish a location up in the north at 1 Mile, where we will have some funds available as pilots and so forth, in addition to our current hatchery site at Jimit, where we can do growths and so forth of the tilapia and so on. And we have a number of interventions planned. One of the primary ones is development of a local tilapia species called, we tentatively calling the Dominica Red, which we plan to market
Interesting.
as an alternative to tilapia in Dominica. As you know, Dominicans don't really have a taste for tilapia so much. So this is going to be our venture into that sort of sphere to make sure that Dominicans can try tilapia and enjoy it at a certain level.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's all sounds very interesting, Mr.
But
Theophile.
importantly to note, with the Chinese technical mission, they brought in an expert to the aquaculture, and one of the areas that they're going to do is to enhance our crayfish.
Okay.
We have our crayfish, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking of my wife. I mean, that is what she like when you go to the restaurant. So I'm very happy that we're going into that industry. We go into they're in the research stage. They're going to assess our crayfish in all our rivers, and then they're going to see how we can multiply it and commercialize it. And for me, that is very important. Not only looking at the prawns, but our local crayfish. I know some of our restaurant owners will be very happy to get a consistent supply of our crayfish, because I think Dominicans like their crayfish.
Yeah, they do, certainly.
And it's during the independent season, so we're trying to enhance our crayfish.
All right. I certainly 1 hour is not enough to
Right.
talk about agriculture. I should have known that.
Yes.
Yes, I did know that.
But quickly, we need to talk about the abattoir.
Yes, so before we leave,
Yes.
So many
I
things
need
we
you
need
to,
to
yes,
talk
so
about
many
still.
things. I need you to update us on the Cannabis Advisory Committee. Where are we going with this? And I need an update on the National Abattoir, and then we can probably come back.
Yes. Well, I would suggest you come back for the cannabis, an entire meeting for the cannabis.
Of course,
That
I'll
is
bring
it.
the fellows
But just
out,
to
no
say, if you recall, we had the symposium
Mm-hmm.
in July of this year. I believe it's July 9th and 10th at the State House. Very successful. Recommendation coming from the OECS and our other OECS countries. Just to say, some of the countries advanced. St. Vincent have set up their licensing authority, and we are learning from them. What the government has done is to contract a consultant, our very own Dr. Marshall, to Emmanuel, Marshall Emmanuel, to guide us and the update we can give, that he has provided us with some draft legislation, and we are reviewing it and regulation for us to move forward. Importantly, the government of Dominica has approved $250,000 to establish the authority, and that is significant. So to put in a CEO for us to get the legislative framework. We anticipate by December that the legislation will go into Parliament, and so we can have. What is importantly, we have done consultation around Dominica, and I was presently surprised with the interest, not only the young people, but there's a great interest in not recreational cannabis. People are interested in investing in cannabis, and when people think of cannabis, it's not a smoke. We're not promoting for people to smoke marijuana or ganja. We are looking at an industry for economic prosperity for Dominica. It's not a joint, and so we want to dispel that. It's a full regularized industry where you have to obtain a license, and you have to have all the production criteria met and all the standards met. So as I said, it would be very important to have the expert,
Yeah, we will.
Dr. Kazimi, and even the director here.
Yeah.
I would recommend a special program, and Dr. Kazimi and media, and even the director, Alisa Trota, Petra, even yourself.
I want that
and
committee.
Dr. Daru,
Yes.
that is the chairperson. We need to I like to use the word big up, forgive me, but we need to big them up on the tremendous work that they have done. And I don't think we are too late. Some people say we are late. What we are doing right now, we are learning from the mistakes of other countries, and we are taking the best practices, and I think we have very good resource.
Okay, let's talk abattoir before we end.
Yes. As you know, we are currently constructing a brand new chicken abattoir, and we have rehabilitated the pig abattoir. Tremendous facility, and I promise I have to bring you there.
Oh my God!
Yes,
it's
I
been
promise
months.
you that on numerous occasions. But we have to go and visit. The abattoir is 75% complete. What is missing is to install of the chicken equipment, like slaughter. Importantly, the new abattoir is going to do 1,000 birds per hour, and that is basically keeping with the Minister of Agriculture policy decision that we want to decrease the importation of chicken by 30 to 40% by 2030. And we believe with the abattoir, it's one step. We are not only looking at the abattoir in isolation. The minister is also passionate about animal feed mill. And so it's not only, we're looking at the entire sector itself. And what we have done, Director just remind me of a rebate program, an agricultural rebate program for housing, for equipment and feed. I think if you do 40%, we're going to 40% rebate on the investment that you make in abattoir. And the plan for us, by 2030, we would want 20 broiler farmers with the capacity of 5,000. So by 2030, we're saying we want 20 broiler farmers with the capacity of 5,000, and that can slaughter 1,000 birds. And I'm not just saying that from my head. We've done the maths, we've done the analysis, we've done the market research. So if we really want to decrease the importation of meat, and the reason we are saying that our production is of high standard. I mean, we get in, I don't even know what grade we get in Dominica, what chicken grade we get in. We probably get in 5th grade, 6th grade, when you see the quality of chicken that we're importing. And so what we're saying there, we want people to understand that the abattoir, and importantly, Dion, what we're going to do, we're going into the parts. So what I've told the livestock unit is that we want to use every single part of the bird. I think even the feathers. So we really want to use all the parts of the bird. So the composting, the everything, the waste management system that we want to use every. We don't want to throw anything from the abattoir. So we'll go into the legs, the backs, the wings, and no longer we'll be selling an entire, or what you say, a whole bird.
Yeah.
And equally for the pigs, we want to add value and do these things. So it's very exciting news for the farmers. We want the farmers to participate in the programs, and we did not have time to go into the rebate, but the Parliament approved a rebate program. We're starting with animals, the abattoir. We're starting with the 5 C's. And so if you are establishing, there's criteria, and we will explain that. We have meetings with the farmers. But just to wrap up and to say, we are very excited in agriculture. We have a very good team. These are not new to agriculture, and we're very excited. We have a minister that knows agriculture. We have a minister that knows fisheries. And we want to explore the blue economy as well. We did not speak about that.
Wow.
But we have to come back.
Yes.
So
about vegetables and the
greenhouse structures. So there are a lot we can speak about agriculture. And so I just want to thank the staff of both the Division of Agriculture and Fisheries and the PIU staff, the Deal Crep program. We want to thank them, everybody working in thing. I mean, we still have to improve. We still have to improve in certain areas. The extension staff, we are hearing some critical complaints. We still have to improve. We take that, and we will do our best to save the people.
All right. Thank you, Pierce, for that conclusion. Director, it was a thrill to have you here this evening. I think we didn't touch on many areas, but it was important for me to bring these different voices, the people leading the sector, so that the public can begin to hear from you. So certainly we'll be back. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dion. Thanks for having us. And I just like to thank everybody and just want to encourage everyone to go back and get involved into the agricultural sector some way or another, whether it's not primary production, sales, agro-processing, value adding. And I just want to remind the general public that we're coming into our white potato season. Yes, we will be getting our white potatoes, so get the farmers and everyone prepared. We start our outreach programs, so early November we will start planting potatoes. We do have the equipment from the Chinese Technical Mission, the tillers and the tractors and the equipment to go out there. We have the inputs. We have everything ready for the farmers. So these are some things we didn't touch on yet.
Yeah.
And I just want to big up our honey people that just got the loads of awards from the Caribbean Week of Agriculture. It's brought home about 10 awards. So I just want to big them up. and big up the youth. Without the youth, as they say, they're not the future, the youth are now. We need them right now in agriculture.
Yeah. And
Yes.
finally, Mr. Theophile.
Yes, I wanted to say thanks for having me here tonight, and I just want to leave just very few words. Eat more fish, please. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yes, more than 40
Well,
pounds.
I just want to tell the farmer, everybody, general public, we just have to eat local. If we want the sector to grow, we have to eat local. If you want the farmers to grow, we have to eat local. There's no way about it. To guarantee your food security, what you actually doing, you are paying farmers from Costa Rica, from the Central America. I mean, I'm a regional man, but you have to be home is home. So what you're doing when you're buying imported stuff, you're actually enhancing the agricultural sector of Latin America and where it is coming, Canada and thing. But if we eat local, you are empowering the farmers to produce more. The farmers have a market that they can sell the produce. So we want to tell people, eat what you grow and grow what you eat, and let's plant something. Okay? So thank you for having us, and I believe we'll be back very soon.
Yes, I believe so too. I like that last line, plant something. You've been tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. We were with the senior officers from the Ministry of Agriculture. We'll certainly have them back on. You heard so many things we missed. Potato farming, youth in agriculture, women in agriculture, agro-processing. There's so much going on in the Ministry of Agriculture, and we want to hear all about it. We look forward to having them back on. My name is Dion Duran Smith. Join us again 2 Mondays from today for another edition of Focus on Government and Development. Good evening.
Want to stay in the know about what's really happening with your government? Then tune in to Focus on Government and Development every other Monday at 7 p.m. Your source for updates on government initiatives and the current affairs shaping our nation. From major infrastructure development to pressing national issues, Focus on Government and Development will bring you up close with the decision makers. Exclusive interviews and in-depth discussions about what matters to you most. We'll go behind the headlines and bring you the real deal. Focus on Government and Development every other Monday, 7 p.m. on this radio station.